All right, guys, let's see. We should be live. Let's check a few things here. Are we ready to go? Good morning again, Leo. Good to see you. And then disclaimer. Remember, guys, this is not financial advice. It's just me personally letting you guys know what we're doing with our fund and our personal investments. Today's a special day. We have unemployment rate, our monthly unemployment rate update, and we have non-farm payrolls. It's going to be pretty interesting. So we're streaming a little bit earlier today because it's dropping in 12 and a half minutes. So we do not want to miss this. How are my eye bags looking? Are they looking okay? Because auto kept us up a little bit last night, and we're still getting a little bit used to the time zone right now, but overall should be fine. So let's go through what we are expecting here. This is big news today. Let's move up the calendar so we have a little bit more room to actually, let's put it down for a second. Today is the 11th right here. We got a lot of indicators coming out, or a lot of earnings. We got economic news coming out. We got dividends. It's a busy time of the year, mid Q1. Good morning, Zero, as well. And let's actually zoom out very quickly here as well. Today is, again, the 11th. There's no big news dropping. There was a short interest release date yesterday. Very important, especially for those short positions or high flyer meme stocks like GameStop. Those days move tickers pretty fast. Futures it was very flat yesterday. Nothing too interesting. And okay, back to it. So first of all, we have the non-farm payrolls coming out in 11 minutes. Prior 50K, forecast 70K. People are expecting this to be higher. This is a low forecast here at 70K. People want to see something around 100,000. That would really create a little rally in the SPY. But let's just read the synopsis. Non-farm payrolls is an employment report released monthly, usually on the first Friday of every month. So today is, well, we're getting close to that second Friday, so it's been backed off a little bit, and heavily affects the US dollar. We're going to talk about that in a second. The bond market and the stock market. Current economic statistics, CES program from the U.S. Department of Labor, surveys about 141,000 businesses and government agencies representing approximately 500,000 individual work sites in order to provide detailed industry data on employment, hours, and earnings of workers on non-farm payroll. The chart on this one is a little chaotic, so I don't typically look at the chart. I just look at the numbers. But we could expand this really fast and you'll see we have been trending down, right? We are getting a little bit closer to a recession. This is COVID. It kind of skews the whole chart. But yeah, we are below most moving averages at this point. And we're looking for that 70K. Maybe we're going to get something in the 100K. Anything above 100K would be blue skies, I would say, for the SPY. Anything below like 50K, there might be a sell-off because the Fed... people would be worried that the Fed is not moving quick enough. Then we also have the unemployment rate coming out. So this one, I don't really need to read this, but it's actively looking for jobs, right? People actively looking for jobs that are a percentage of the labor force. So, if you're actively looking for a job, but you're not in the labor force, maybe you're retired or something, they probably won't be counting you. Now, this is also a very important statistic. I don't expect too big of movements on this one. We are, let's see here, forecast, prior was 4.4, forecast 4.4. Yeah, this one doesn't really move too much. 4 is the important number that everyone kind of looks for in terms of recessions. If you start going above 4, people think it's a recession. But that's been kind of kicked down the road a little bit. Now we're saying, 5%. And let's go to unemployment report, Fed, St. Louis. I just want to pull this one up because this one shows the whole synopsis really nicely. Actually, did I have this one? Oh, no, this is the 10-year treasury. We're also going to talk about the 10-year treasury in a second. But yeah, you can see we've been trending up here. and every time you typically trend off the lows, that is when recessions strike. People really don't like that 4% area. That's been often cited for those recessions, and what the Fed also targets to have it below. So we are above that, and yeah, I think as long as we hit, nothing too surprising like 4.7, we should be fine. 4.7, I think would scare the markets quite a lot. So let's check. We got 8 more minutes. I want to talk a little bit more about scenarios as well. Let's scroll up here so you guys can see it all nicely. And all right, I wrote a few out so I don't forget. So the recession, the panic, the miss, right? This is if jobs, let's say, come out less than 30,000. I wouldn't be surprised on a hard sell-off in the SPY. The Russell would probably have a big sell-off as well. The 10-year Treasury would plummet because that is a lot of uncertainty. People don't want to lock their capital up during uncertain times. And the Fed, the narrative would be that the Fed is too late. So, people would be pricing in those emergency price cuts. Let's see. 1 second. So we have the 10-year would plummet. Let's actually show that right here, 2 10-year spread. And actually, we even have a chart of this one. 10-year. Let's pull it up. That's the 20-year US 10. Yeah, there it is. Let's put this one a little higher. So the 10-year is around 4.2%. So the rates would probably go higher. Okay, so the yield would drop, the price would increase, and then let's increase the 2-year. And what we really want is the 2-year. Oh, this is the ETF. Let me see if they have the 220 US. They do. No, I don't see it right now. Okay, let's go back here. All right, some more scenarios, right? We have the less than 50K. So the forecast is 70K. If we're less than 50K, I would expect the SPY to sell off as well. Same with the Russell. Now, that's not so much. I think at that point, we're thinking about stagflation. That's what people have. That's when people would be a little bit nervous. Not as bad as a full-on recession panic, but do want to keep an eye out for a miss below 50K. I think anything in that 70 forecast, I don't think much will happen. But if we start getting nice moves like let's say 80 or 100,000, we are going to see some really nice rallies. So that's what I'm hoping for. But at the same time, I don't mind if we miss it, because what we're invested in is tickers that are recession proof, high value companies. So good companies at really, really good prices. Good companies, great prices is a quick little synopsis there. So, we're looking at tickers like Pfizer, right? This ticker just crawling off the lows, paying a fat dividend. This is a classic recession proof ticker, right? This is what people want to buy. We have tickers like Intel, INTC. So We took a lot of profits in the 50s, and we're looking for a pullback, Intel, because if the dollar, let's say, gets devalued even more, because now people are expecting a recession, companies like Intel, company like Pfizer would benefit from a weak dollar because they have huge sales abroad, right? So we're looking for very safe companies at this point, because the overall market is just very expensive. The Schiller PE, so how expensive the overall market is right around 40. Last time we had this was during the dot-com bubble, right? So it's a very expensive market, but it doesn't mean all tickers are expensive. There's insanely good deals everywhere, and that's what we're looking for. So we'll keep an eye out. We got 3 more minutes. This should be quite interesting. And I want to see again if we can find the 2-year US Treasury 2-year note. I don't want to find the ETF. But let's pull up the ETF, see what it looks like. Yeah, no, this is not the one we want. So I'm hoping, honestly, that we get a little bit of volatility, because volatility is opportunity. And if we can see, some more volatility, I think we might get tickers like PFE really nicely. We might get tickers like Coin again really nicely. So we'll keep a close eye on Coin. There could be a big sell-off here. A volatile move, that's what we're looking for. Especially if it comes in lower than expected. All right, guys, we have another 10 seconds. This should be good. Keep a close eye on the 15-minute on Coin. This should be interesting. See how crypto moves and handles this as well. Right now it's bouncing. Let's go ahead and update. Rises by 130 in January. Whoa, okay, this is really good. This is very bullish. All right, so we're gonna probably see some rallies across the board. Yeah, okay, picking up already on Coin. Let's go back to PFE really fast. Selling off. This actually makes sense that PFE might sell off a little bit harder here because it's a risk avoidance tool. So, right, Coin, high risk. PFE, very low risk. All right, so I didn't think it would be that high, but that's exactly what we were looking for. We were saying, you know, if we can hit that over 140, that would be really nice. Okay, so what does this mean? This is really just normalization, honestly. The 2 and 10 year spread won't really move so much. This is kind of calculating that there's a soft landing. So this is very bullish right now. Let's go to 5-day. Yeah, look at that. And going down barely, but no, it's 6%. Yeah, I just read the wrong number. Let's see if huge beat. Let's actually read a little bit. And what was the unemployment rate at 4.3? So this is very bullish. Wow. Okay, President Trump's gonna have a little bit of a party on his hands. Yeah, Zero saying wow. Yeah, it is pretty solid actually. So let's see if we can read a little bit more about this. Total non-farm payrolls rose 130,000 in January. No, change 4.3%. Jobs occurred in health. Okay, jobs gains occurred in healthcare. Okay, Pfizer right there. Social assistance, construction. Construction's not a big surprise there. We have exposure to construction with logistics companies in our hedge fund. Jobs. Yeah, federal government and financial jobs lost. That's also not a big surprise. Let's go to Axos for a second. Oh, not AX. Where? Symbol. AX. So they actually might be going down. The financial industry. No, they're not really moving too much. Let's go to Wintrust. Let's see if they're moving. Oh, bank actually up, surprising. Okay, with the financial industry. Okay, there's something that caught me off guard right there. Doing better. Yeah, those banks though are very private. Let's go to some bigger banks. DEO pulling back here a little bit. You can see our sell limit order on this one. Hopefully it maintains this. Let's go to something like Chase, right? Doesn't get more standard than that. JPM also up on the news. I think a big reason some of these actually might be up, the financials, is soft landing probably means it's going to protect a lot of the credit, private credit industry, which is struggling. So I think that could be really good. Maybe we're going to get even more volatility. I'm still waiting for a bit more volatility. Maybe we're going to have somewhere we could jump in on. QXO. Look at this ticker. I could cry when I see this one. So we had a position on this. We recently took profits. I was looking for a buyback on this one. We missed our entry. Now it's all the way up at 25. So this is a classic beneficiary in the times like today. This is a building company, public traded distributor of roofing, waterproofing, and complementary building products in the U.S. So with these American first policies, these are the kind of companies we're looking for to invest a long time into for at least a 12-month period. We won't go through the individual details of this company per se right now, but huge earnings winner right there. Or macro environment winner, I should say, not earnings winner. Earnings winner probably, but the earnings didn't come out just yet. Let's go back to Pfizer. So it's finding support here, slightly moving up. Let's go to coin. Yeah, just volatile. Let's go to Bitcoin, market cap, and then individually here on the 50-minute. 50-minute is pulling up, so for now this news seems to be pretty healthy. I do think we are stuck a little bit in a flag pattern. and I wouldn't be surprised if we had a little bit of another sell-off. Or a channel, not a flag. I mean, you can call it a flag too, right? We have the pull, the flag, and the potential continuation. So I'm not too bullish here. I think this one could get a lot of people very excited and on the wrong side of this setup. So I'm not jumping in on crypto yet, although I am maybe hoping for a bigger pullback, and I would like to jump in there. Silver, a little bit of a recovery there, 30%, not too bad. Gold. The gold and silver trade, there's not much to talk about anymore. I probably should have made a video about that, but that trade is behind us at the moment. Let's see if there's any top gainers worth looking into. RENX with a, no, it's too cheap. We have shares outstanding, $5 up. PRFX. PRFX and kids. Could be potential. It's crazy how ugly small caps have been lately. It just blows my mind. I would rather get exposure to small caps, trading tickers like that QXO that we were just looking at, because they are not considered, the classic large caps with the, $500 billion market cap plus, or 100 billion. They're much more smaller, and with that Russell breakout, you can be riding a lot of the upside because of that, without trading on daily the small caps. So let's talk a little bit more about this Goldilocks soft landing situation we're in right now. So S&P will probably be rallying. Let's go to close this out. Go to SPY. Go to 15-minute. So yeah, there's the bounce on the SPY. Not too big. So even though we beat forecast, the bounce is a little bit less on these larger indices than I expected. Bitcoin still holding that key area. Again, this is a 15-minute chart. Let's check out the dollar. Dollar moving pretty healthy. Pretty healthy move on the dollar. ARK ETF, pretty high flyer ETF, moving pretty good. Let's go to something like, yeah, okay, see, this is exactly what I was waiting for on crypto. We're still making that bear flag. Let's go to high flyers like Tesla. Let's see what they're doing. So far popping up on the news, but not able to hold that high super well. Nvidia, similar situation as Tesla, big pop, but I wouldn't say holding the highs super well. Let's go through some of our holdings. We bought a very small size in ACH. Looking for a potential move higher here as we trend on this one. So far it's not moving pre-market. Not much to talk about there. Baxter up 10% on this one. We've been holding it for quite some time. Looking for a continuation here. We're filling in the gap. This was a pretty key area when we had that big drop on earnings, so we're trying to retake that. I don't want to sell this one too soon. I already took half off the table on this ticker. I just gotta, try to let it ride without over managing that position. CCI, we started accumulating this one. It had a big dip on earnings, found support. I would actually like to probably buy more in this position, so we'll see if we have a sell-off. Right now it is kind of looking interesting. I would even consider maybe closing this one because this move has been so aggressive for such a company that maybe we'll have a pullback if we continue this rally, and then I'll buy into the pullback. CCII, that's what we just talked about. Crisp. This is another classic company that we are holding, but we stopped out right when this move failed. We stopped out here and found some support, 10% move, but I'm having a hard time getting long on this one again. DEO, nice move. I just would really like to see some more continuation. Etsy. So we're back down 6% here. Yeah, we touched this area, pulled back. I wouldn't be surprised if we found that new floor. So I'm looking for a move back up here. But right now we are struggling, and we got earnings coming out on the 19th. So I don't love right now holding into earnings a lot of these tickers. They make me a little bit nervous. So if we get a move higher, I would be pretty happy about that, and I'd probably go ahead and take some profits. So the 19th is right, going right past it. Earnings, if move. Earnings have been so volatile, even on good earnings, that I wouldn't mind taking some profits before earnings. Let's see what else is going on. Lemonade, rolling over a little bit. PayPal. Let's go to the 4-hour. Yeah, trending up. Found a bit of a bottom. Let's see where it goes from here. Pizza Hut, also trending up off the lows. These are just our classic financial and consumer discretionary companies. So I think it should be a pretty nice move in the macro environment we're in. There's the QXO with a huge pre-market pump. X-Ray doing super nice. So pumping. Let's see how high it can go from here. I like the fact that the volume is still very steady. We got, some big tops in this area. Let's see if we can take some profits soon on this ticker. Zero says watching silver this year has been wild. Yeah, it has been wild. Yeah, when it comes to metals, it's probably good to just, especially when you have that thought zero, and I've been in the same exact position countless times, and I've come to the conclusion, when you start thinking something like that, like I'm not really interested in it at the moment, but I could see it, getting hot. Maybe I'll get to it at some point. Honestly, just start allocating, 5 or 10% of your portfolio into metals or anything that you feel that way about. You have a gut feeling for a reason, and every time I listen to my gut on that level, it usually pays out very, very well. You just have to be patient. It's not like a get rich quick thing or anything, and it feels like there's always so much time to do it, right? I think that's where we make a lot of mistakes. I can do that tomorrow, and then 2 years goes by and you're like, I should have taken those 5 minutes to buy that ETF. But that's why we have this channel. We're always thinking, what is the next silver? What is the next gold? What's that next move that we want to be part of? And that's what we want to be finding on this channel. And right now, that next move is an American first policy, right? A weaker dollar. What does that mean? It means great for exports. It means that we're going to be looking for tickers that benefit from a booming U.S. economy. When the GDP is getting close to 6%, which is absolutely insane, what companies benefit from that? Companies in logistics, right? Companies that are builders, are QXOs. Companies that sell international, Pfizer. Companies that have great financials, but nobody has been looking at, because everyone's been looking at those high flyer tech companies like Nvidia. That's why I'm not worried. Even if we had a recession, like a big miss, I would still be pretty confident, because then the lower interest rates come in and we get a boom at some point, and we are protected on our downside because we have a big margin of safety, because we're invested in companies that have a really, really strong financial position, strong balance sheet. I think the only thing that really surprised me today, I mean, the beat was nice. I was thinking we would get probably something over 100K. At least that's what I was looking for. But I'm surprised that the forecast was 70K and we didn't get as much of movement in the market as I was expecting. Yeah, the yields are already normalizing the spread. Let's keep reading here, see if we missed anything. Or you know what would actually be fun to do? We'll do that in a second. We'll let AI investigate this as well and see what it comes out with compared to what we come out with. Both the unemployment rate, so I'm going to see if there's anything new here. Among the major worker groups, the unemployment rate for teenagers declined to 13.6% in January. So look at that, teenagers taking a hit. Jobless rates for adult men, 3.8, adult women, 4, and people who are white, 3.7, people who are black, 7.2, Asian, 4.1, Hispanic, 4.7, showed little change over the month. So it's really those teenagers, not finding jobs, which makes sense. Nobody wants to hire like interns right now because you can just use AI for intern work. That healthcare sector and the financial sector, or the healthcare sector boomed a lot. Financials down. Federal government. Let's see. In January, federal government employees continued to decline, 34,000. That's insane. That's just some wild numbers of employees disappearing. Who accepted a deferred resignation offer in 2025, came off federal payrolls since reaching a peak in October 2024. Federal government unemployment is down 327 or 10%. That is just wild numbers of people. Think about all those people right now back in the workforce doing something in the private sector. That's actually pretty exciting. That gets me exciting. That's a lot of money. And that's why it's going to be a booming place. I was thinking about something. Actually, I think about this every now and then, because since we're so often in Europe, and a lot of people are so surprised that, Germany had this huge boom after World War II. They're like, how did a devastated country be able to recover so quickly twice, right? And it's a good point, and I thought about it for some time. Well, you have to remember, and this is an important point, yes, a lot of people died, but what also happened is the country was basically shrunk by twice its size. It's like if America lost a war to, I don't even know, anybody, and all of a sudden, half of America's territories were gone. Now, the people in those territories have to decide two things. Do we stay here and we change our nationality to this new country? In Germany's case, it was the USSR and whatever bloc they were in. Or do we leave? Now, most people decide to leave and go resettle into the new parts of that country. So what happens? All of a sudden, you have these, little towns, and you have hundreds of thousands, you have millions of refugees, German refugees, into Germany from territory that is no longer Germany. So I'll tie this in a second. So what does that mean? You have now a huge workforce And that's exactly why China was booming. That's why India is booming. And that's, to come back to this federal thing, when you have this many people entering the workforce because of job displacement, you now have a lot of competition again. Businesses can find people at good prices, and they can start booming and doing things that otherwise aren't financially possible, right? So this cutting of the federal government employment is just very, very good for the US economy. Even though 68% of the government is discretionary spending, right? The GDP. 68% of GDP is discretionary spending. All right, so let's take this and let's put it in, let's say, I don't know, something like Gemini. What were the big surprises from this year's or this month's payrolls and unemployment rate findings? I don't know if you hear my little dude in the background, but he's going crazy. Yeah, so overall the market is not moving nearly as much as I thought it would be. I don't know why this is taking so long. But let's let it do its thing. We're in no rush. Coin is moving slightly. All right, so the link provided currently displays the 2025 unemployment situation released in January 9th. But the January 26th was released. All right. Job expectations, yeah, big beat. No surprise there. The consensus was 80,000. This was a big beat. Unemployment rate dip. Context of downward revisions. Did I? The AI is confused actually about this report. No, this is the correct one. I don't understand why it thinks it's the December one. Anyway, let's read a little bit more about these last two things. Population control adjustments to the household survey. The annual population control adjustments that are usually incorporated with the release of January estimates in February will instead be introduced with the release of February. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. No, they didn't talk about it. Effective weather. Major winter storms and severe cold weather affected large parts of the country in January. Yeah, it was crazy. Like -50. What does that even mean? Primarily after the reference periods for the establishment and household surveys, these events had no discernible effect on national payroll hours and earnings. Okay, so they think it doesn't even affect it. The severe weather did impact the collection of data. Okay, the response rate was 63% below average. That's a huge dip. Okay, so we might be missing some information here. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That is massive. I don't know why this is just not automatically collected via some API stuff and is presented in real time. Seems like some very outdated things going on here, but is what it is. Yeah, small move on more high-risk things like coin and hood, up 1.3%. Pfizer still kind of kicking the can a little bit. Crisp also having a bit of a move. Yeah, so overall, kind of an uneventful volatility after such eventful news. So here we are. Top gainers don't look too interesting in terms of small caps. So I'm just keeping an eye on in general for the large caps right now. Let's see if Polymarket has anything interesting going on. The amount of ridiculous Polymarket betting just blows my mind sometimes. So let's see here if there's something that is a bit more interesting. For the one that blows my mind is the volume on the Bitcoin 15 up or down in 15 minutes. I just think this is crazy. Look at this. What price will Bitcoin hit in February? What's winning is 75,000. So people are expecting it to go down. I am also expecting crypto to keep going down for a little bit. Another U.S. government shutdown by February 14th. 75% chance. I don't know. It has low volume. I'm not sure about that. People expect Norway to have the most gold medals for the Olympics, 95%. Well, I think the Olympics is almost over already. Let me see. Winter Olympics. Norway is clearly leading. Oh, it's till the 22nd. Oh, it's much longer than I expected. Why did I have 1 week in my head? Well, there we go. So they're already leading. Well, I can't spell right now. Vaughn. How is she doing? Is she recovering? Man, I feel really bad for her. Latest recovery. Did you guys see her crash? It was just, I saw it in real time while we were watching it. It was pretty insane. Let's see. Unfortunately, I sustained a complex tibia fracture that is currently stable but required multiple surgeries. Wow. To fix. Oh my god. A complex tibia fracture. Of the a break of the shin bone. It's much worse than I expected. You know, good for her. What a beast. Yesterday, my Olympic dream did not finish the way I dreamt it would. It wasn't a storybook ending or a fairy tale. It was just life. I dared to dream and had worked so hard to achieve it, because in downhill ski racing, the difference between a strategic line and a catastrophic injury can be as small as 5 inches. I was simply 5 inches too tight on my line when my right arm hooked inside of the gate, twisted me, and resulted in my crash. My ACL and past injuries had nothing to do with my crash whatsoever. Unfortunately, I sustained a complex tibia fracture that is currently stable but will require multiple surgeries to fix. While yesterday did not end the way I hoped, and despite the intense physical pain it caused, I have no regrets. Standing in this starting gate yesterday was an incredible feeling that I will never forget. Knowing I stood there, having a chance to win was a victory in and of itself. I agree. I also know that racing was a risk. I always was and always will be an incredibly dangerous sport. And similar to ski racing, we take risks in life. We dream, we live, we jump, and sometimes we fall. Sometimes our hearts are broken. Sometimes we don't achieve the dreams we know we could have. But that is also the beauty of life. We can try. I tried, I dreamt, I jumped. I hope if you take anything away from this journey is that you all have courage to dare greatly. Life is too short not to take chances on yourself, because the only failure in life is not trying. Yeah, it's really nice. All right. That definitely constitute a retweet. I'll leave that open so I don't forget. The next thing I want to check out some morning brew, see if there's anything we're missing. NASDAQ at 23,000, the S&P at below 7,000, the down, getting close to that, below 50,000 point. 10-year at 4.1, so it's slightly going down. Bitcoin still going down 68,000. What's LPL Financial? Down 8%. Stocks were mixed yesterday with the Dow clinching a new record. Wait a second. Yeah, this is today's edition. As other indexes fell amid weariness of holiday retail sales data and pressure on financial stocks from the threat of new AI software. LPL Financial had its worst, sinking after the tech platform Alt Trust announced the launch of AI-powered tax planning tools. If you don't see AI coming yet, I don't know what will wake you up. Look at this iBit being advertised here. This is kind of crazy. Trump admin to ditch key climate policy tool. Let's see what that is. The Trump administration is disavowing an Obama-era scientific finding that serves as the positive force for federal climate regulations. Wall Street Journal reported this week the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, plans to nix the endangerment finding, which determines that greenhouse gases threaten public health and allowed the EPA to curb pollution through regulation. Embracing this finding in 2009 gave the EPA the legal authority to set emission standards for exhausted engine cars and trucks, as well as power plants. The Trump administration will officially announce the change this week, billing it as the largest act of deregulation in history. Valued at $1 trillion, projected to reduce vehicle costs by an average of 2.4 thousand. So it's mostly for transportation industry, but it looks like it might apply to power plants and production facilities as well. It looks like the car industry never asked for a change, so I'm not sure. So they don't know what's actually going to happen. Analysis say that DC thinks its hands off the wheel on regulation car pollution could prompt some states like California, which is the biggest car market in the US, to go full throttle imposing their own emission standards. Yeah, that's very likely, right? If there's no federal guidelines, there's going to be state guidelines, and the hardest state will probably enforce it, or the hardest enforced state will probably become the de facto standard, because you can't make a car for every state. It doesn't make any sense. And looks like some Democratic states want to fight this. That's not really news that will affect our positions. FBI released footage of Nancy Guther's door camera. Masked man appearing to tamper with her camera. Potential subject. The second deadline for an unverified ransom demanding 6 billion Bitcoin for Nancy Guther's return yesterday. Nancy Guther teaches the Bible at her home church, Cornerstone, Tennessee. And why was she attacked? Is she just... Oh, the mother... Okay, so she's pretty famous, that's why. Maybe she talked about owning crypto. Man, you gotta be so careful if you have any sort of crypto exposure. The only crypto exposure that we have nowadays is just through ETFs. Because of stuff like this. American Airlines flight attendants push to oust CEO. The union representing the airline's 28,000 flight attendants issued a vote no confidence. Wow. Because it's lagging behind rivals like Delta and United. Workers were also frustrated after the airline struggled to recover from recent winter storms, and crews were reportedly stranded. Jesus. Yeah, because they don't like the leadership. Paramount's deal with Warner Bros. If you were thinking that sweetening a hostile takeover bid sounds like an oxymoron, you'd be correct. But this is what happened yesterday to Paramount and Skydance upped its offer to steal Warner Bros. Discovery away from Netflix's proposed acquisition. While Paramount did not increase its per share offer, the company did say it would cover $2.8 billion in termination fee. Wow, that's a huge fee. Spotify wrapped its year with record users number. Well, look at it go. You know, I'm more of a YouTube music kind of guy, to be honest. This could be a great IPO at some point. I'm not going to dive into the details, though. Ferrari's EV looks like the Apple car we never got. That's so true. Reveal in May. Orders open in March. Ferrari stock surged this week after it beat revenue expectations. Is Ferrari its own company, or are they under Tatra or something else? I did not know that. Race, their ticker is Race. Wow, yeah, they are up nicely. Look at that. I'm just gonna add them to our watch list. It's not something I'm personally interested in buying, but pretty crazy. I would be actually kind of careful here. There's a lot of downward momentum, and now we are spiking towards this insane resistance zone. I don't see this one holding super well, but beautiful support and a 16% bounce off that low. I mean, can't argue against that. So they're up on really strong earnings. Crazy. That's why we read these quick little news articles, and I like Morning Brew because they just share some really insightful stuff. Let's see if there's anything else here. So former Apple design chief Johnny Ives creative firm dreamed up the car's interior. Johnny Ives dreamed up the car's interior. There we go. I guess that makes a little bit of sense. So first impressions are positive. %60 of new customers make 6 figures. So Dollar Tree is becoming standard for every level of financial wealth. The phrase Dollar Tree and $525 Wagyu beef had never before appeared in the same sentence until a Bloomberg report in the discount store increasingly wealthy clientele yesterday. Nearly half of new Dollar Tree's locations in the last 6 years opened in wealthy areas. Last quarter, 60% of customers made at least $100,000 per year. They visit less often, but they spend more. So, yeah, that's typically how it goes, right? High clienteles, high ticket offers. It's the same with flying, right? The airlines make all their money from those premium seats. 9 people were killed by a shooter at a school and a residence in British Columbia yesterday, making one of Canada's deadliest shootings. Oh no. At a school, that's freaking horrible. Gotta quickly see it. Jesus Christ. Poor kids. And parents. Oh, grades 7 through 12. Imagine that. A 7th person died while being transported to the hospital. Looks like the suspect hurt themselves. Oh man. Families were still waiting to hear if it's their child's that's deceased. Oh my lord, I don't know, that would be horrible. All right, we got to keep going because that is just too depressing. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick admitted to visit Jeffrey Epstein's private island and his family while on vacation in 2012. President Trump threatened to block bridge connecting Detroit to Canada from opening until Canada treats the U.S. with fairness and respect. Ford reported an $8 billion loss for the last year as it dealt with charges from its EV business. Let's quickly look at Ford. Well, market doesn't care. Ford is firing on all cylinders. I would be happy to buy some Ford. Ford has just been performing so well. 63%. Insane. After being down around 65%. So I'm quite bullish on Ford. But at these areas, it's just a little bit too expensive for me. Wow, broke out from such a long channel here. I'm not sure if we're going to have those former lows, but I am looking for a potential accumulation already around 12. The market just doesn't care at all about that $8 billion loss from its EV business. U.S. holiday retail sales expectedly cooled in December. Tony Wu, the founder of Elon Musk's XAI, resigned from his role this week, becoming the latest senior executive to leave the AI startup. Super Bowl was watched. 125 million viewers in the U.S., the second most of all time. Last year's at 278, so a little bit of a decrease. I heard there was 2 halftime shows. I think that's kind of wild. It's kind of depressing, actually. Kind of really shows how polarized this world's become. There's 2 halftime shows. Oh, that's horrible. Market open in 10 minutes. We'll watch it a little bit, see if there's some change, and then I gotta run. So far, it has been a very relaxing pre-market. Indexes are, all firing on all cylinders. Bitcoin, SPY, Russell, everything's still looking very, very healthy after this very bullish earnings or payrolls and unemployment rate. This still hasn't updated. Is it 4.4? It should be 4.3. Zero says, for the Jesus return poly market, I saw someone post that there is another market that will reach 5% yes for the Jesus return. So good. Yeah, I saw that too on the poly market. I thought that was hilarious. Is the Jesus one still up here? I think so, huh? It's finding it. I don't see it. Here we go. Will Jesus return before 2027? And look at this one. This one's even at 18%. There should be, will we get Grand Theft Auto 6 before Jesus returns? That's the one we want. All right, let's talk a little bit about oh, we got 5 more minutes to open, but let's see if we can summarize the interest rates a little bit here, or let's see if we can look at it from a different perspective. So I think in short, we can probably say that the bad news is good news era is dead with Warsh, right? We have a 1.7 trillion time bomb, the bonds. So the weak non-farm payroll number can trigger that credit liquidity crisis. The Warsh factor, right? Fed share, that everyone expects to be more hawkish. What does that mean? Well, it means that if this number right here, this 130,000 was actually around 50,000, the economy would probably be in a little bit of a free fall, because even though we want low interest rates, Warsh does not want to do any quantitative easing. He doesn't want a big balance sheet. So there would be liquidity going out of the markets. So you have only that low interest rates to rely on. So for now, the market's definitely going to be pricing that soft landing. 2 and 10-year really stabilized quite good. Let's see if we refresh this. It's weird that if we click news, nothing really pops up. Page feels a bit broken. All right, so we're gonna get ready for the open here in 2 minutes. I'm looking for a little bit more volatility. We have some on coin. Let's see if we continue that volatility a little bit. So yeah, it is selling off. I was expecting that. Remember, we were talking about that with Bitcoin. Let's go back to Bitcoin USD. Let's go to a 15-minute. This is where we built that flag pattern. We did break out of this quite strongly. We're pulling back now, and there is overall a downwards pattern here. So you don't want to fight the trend on this. We've had several times where we've made a little bit of a base, sold off, base, sold off, base, sold off. This is not a bad little rounded bottom. At the same time, this flag pattern that we're breaking out of. Question is, are we going to continue a move higher? I'm a little bit skeptical because just not really holding the highs. So we'll see what we get. Market's going to be opening up here in 25 seconds. Right. Zillow finally approaching those key areas we've been looking for. Big move below that support zone. We got more support coming. There's a key support zone on it. I wonder if we're going to keep trending down on it. If we do, I'll probably look for a trade on, not an investment, but a trade on Zillow, just because that's been such an aggressive sell-off now. Let's sort by percent change. So Generac, another one of those companies that is benefiting from a strong US economy. Nice breakout there. We had this trend line, we broke higher, and now we're ripping. Big resistance ahead. Generac, really nice move there. QXO. So a lot of the local business companies are flying today on that macro news. That's what you want to be part of. And the percent change losers. Hood. Yeah, financials, right? The financial sector getting destroyed. Zillow, there you have it. Pfizer, very volatile move there. Found instant support. I'm gonna see, put a small size on this one. Yeah, coin. Trying. It's trying, but it retests that critical zone, popped off, gave back all of its gains from pre-market. Adobe. I just find Adobe so wild. Let's edit this alert. Notifications. So we just bought the Pfizer position. Save. HRL. Hornell, we're going to look at that as well. Big time support on Adobe. I don't really want to go long this one just yet. It's kind of in a giant sell-off mode, but I do like the fact that, I'm just going to remove this. We are finding huge support here. So if we get a bit of a sell-off again, maybe we'll get a flush or something below the support zone. I would probably be going long on this at that time. So I'm going to keep a close eye on Adobe. HRE, no wait, no, let's go to HRL, sorry. Let's go to daily. Big support here on HRL. Exactly what we've been, the kind of pullback that we've been looking for. Order day, good till cancel. So strong and pullback on that Adobe. I'm gonna close our coin limit for now. Yes. ACH is not moving nearly as much as I thought, but yeah, this ticker is pretty slow. We're still kind of trend following this one, looking for a better move. Let's go to Pfizer. So we have our entry there at 150. Been looking for this one for a while. I really like this trend that it's on right now. Very aggressive. So right now we're pulling back from this double top and we're looking for that breakout. If you go to the weekly, you'll see a little bit clearer what we're looking for. Continuation here, break, and then another 8% move or so to this former resistance. Wow, Z just continues selling off. Hit that target we were looking for just in a few seconds. Look at that move. Absolutely wild. So last time we had 10% move there, another 10%. I'm buying some Zillow in my personal account. turning into a more busy market than I would have expected. So let's see how low coin can go. I'm still looking for that major support zone around 149. Let's see if we get it. QXO and GXO absolutely on fire. Look at that. Big breakout. Beautiful movers. Alb finding support as well. I wonder what Boeing's up to. Yeah, Boeing consolidating there. Can we get that breakout on DEO? That's what we're waiting for. All right, guys, just a lot of rebalancing. If you want to know more about anything that I'm trading, just check out our Discord. Go to tradejournal.co. You'll see our Discord link there. If you want to hop on a call with me, check out Trade Journal as well, because right now we're having limited time free consulting calls for new accounts. So if you just go to tradejournal.co and check out right down here. Wow, that was a bigger scroll than I was expecting. Free pro trader call. Just create an account and you'll see your credit, and you can get my calendar link and we can jump on a call. I'll love to analyze your portfolio or answer any questions you have, or we could talk about tickers. Check out all these reviews we've gotten over the years. You know, we've worked with so many people. So it's been wild. It's been a crazy few years. Yeah, that's all for now. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I will see you then first thing tomorrow morning again. I want everyone to remember that this is financial or not financial advice, and we are here just sharing lessons with each other. Thanks, guys, and take care, Zero. Ciao then.